hipster.
Hey, did you know that David Lynch made a follow-up sitcom to Twin Peaks and it was hated so much that only 3 of the 7 episodes ever even aired in the United States? Before becoming the internet's most accurate weatherman, David Lynch was one of the world's favorite weirdos.
This is a donut.
He spent the 1980s directing a vast array of movies, from Man with Disfigured Baby to Disfigured Man Who Scares Babies, which eventually landed him the opportunity to co-create a little show called Twin Peaks alongside writer Mark Frost. Much like Twin Peaks, On the Air was a show that was decades ahead of its time. But while Twin Peaks has been solidified as a pop culture touchstone, On the Air has been buried so deep in the ABC vault that you'd be lucky to find more than a couple little scrumdiddlyumptious crumbs of information. Unless you want to buy the DVD, and then presumably also a DVD player, there's not any particularly easy or legal way to watch the show. So, I stand before you, a humble weaver of tales and alleged cybercriminal, as likely your only chance at learning about a sitcom nobody likes, made by the genius who made a song called Crazy Clown Time. Crazy Clown Time! Does that sound good to you? It sure sounds like another typical YouTube video to help you distract yourself from the dystopian nightmare we call home. Alright, that's enough pre-ramble. Let's just fucking talk about this stupid show.
This is a wonderful product.
Set in 1957, the pilot of On the Air opens on the dress rehearsal for the Lester Guy Show. And because this show is a 30-minute long ensemble sitcom, we are immediately introduced to our entire cast. Starting with Betty, the fresh-faced actor with no common sense. She is dumping some serious exposition on Ruth Trueworthy, who's the assistant to the show's director, Vladja Gokcic.
Yes, Mr. Gotchit. I certainly think we definitely have a good chance to be almost completely ready.
Marvelous!
Vladja's borderline xenophobic accent is so outrageous that Ruth basically has to double as a translator for him for the entire show.
Your shit. Fine!
You shoot. Bang!
I shoot. Bang!
A bit, I'm sure, won't get annoying at all. And then there's Dwight McGonigal, a producer who's basically just a walking panic attack.
My nerves!
And then the Hurry Up Twins, who are just perfect.
Hurry up!
The Hurry Up Twins.
Hurry up! Hurry up!
I may be a staunch pacifist, but I would kill indiscriminately for the Hurry Up Twins. No notes. Anyway, back to the plot. Betty goes around telling everyone on staff that she's nervous for her first time on live television.
This is live television.
Which ultimately makes everyone on staff nervous for her first time on live television. But that's when Bud Budwaller, played by longtime David Lynch collaborator Miguel Ferrer, shows up with his crony Nicole Thorne, played by Hatchetface from John Waters' Crybaby and basically nothing else. Now, Bud is the president of the Zablotnik Broadcasting Network, or ZBC, because David Lynch is the master of subtlety, that silly little goose. So anyway, Bud's come to the set of the Lester Guy Show to make sure that everything is executed perfectly. You see, Mr. Budwaller put his entire career on the line to land this washed-up Hollywood actor Lester Guy as the titular star of the Lester Guy Show.
The future of our entire network is riding on this show!
As for Lester Guy himself, he brings some serious mopey Zooline energy to On the Air as the show's main foil.
What do they know in South Dakota? They know what they like. If they knew what they liked, they wouldn't be in South Dakota. Which
Contrasts beautifully to Betty's unbridled optimism. Optimism. Ugh. Some other crazy things that are introduced in the pilot are Blinky, a man who suffers from a fake disease called Bozeman's simplex. A narrator explains to us every single episode that Blinky isn't blind, he actually sees so much that he's overloaded with information at all times. Kinda like he's on a perpetual acid trip from God, the lucky bastard.
Thank you, Betty. Thank you, Betty. Thank you, Betty.
So obviously, Blinky is put in charge of stage management and making sure all the heavy things don't kill people, alongside his friend Mickey, who essentially does the job for both of them.
So many different sounds in the universe.
Infinitesimal.
And then lastly, there's the network executives, who are just a literal corral of dying old men. Again, no notes. And if you know even a little bit about creative production, it's Nothing like that. Definitely nothing like that. I'd like to keep my job, thank you very much. Anyway, back to the pilot. Although the dress rehearsal goes very well, everything falls apart at the last minute once the cameras start to roll for real. The pilot of On the Air ends with the pilot of the Lester Guy Show technically being a disaster, but the audience is captivated with Betty, who sings a dumb bird song or some garbage, and the ratings go through the roof.
Wahoof oo het in Huns.
Now, this is essentially how all 7 episodes of On the Air play out. Each week, a new segment is introduced on the Lester Guy Show, which is kind of like a variety show, and then that segment gets sabotaged by Lester and Nicole, only for Betty to kind of fail upwards, and then the Lester Guy Show gets to live on for another week. After the pilot, On the Air truly suffers from diminishing returns. It's clear that the writers really had no idea where to take the show after Lynch wrote and directed the first episode, and then, went to go do David Lynch things. For example, in the pilot, Lester Guy falls into this beautiful slapstick sequence with lots of moving parts and chaos from all sides, and it ultimately kind of ends with him just dangling from the rafters. It's very funny. In the next episode, Lester is given a box by the stage manager Mickey, who warns Lester that if he presses the wrong button, laughing gas will shoot out. And then that happens. Can you imagine? Now, don't get me wrong, there's some amazing shots that are clearly just there because they looked fucking awesome. Like this funny little duck that's being zapped by a tiny electric chair. It's cute, but also morbid as hell. Yay. If nothing else, it's clear that the people were having fun making On the Air. I mean, everyone acts their hearts out, with Lester, Bud, and Nicole playing just wonderfully over-the-top villains.
I was never allowed to be a child. Who cares?
And Betty gets to have a blast playing arguably the dumbest character to ever appear on TV. Think Lucy Ricardo meets olive oil.
Have you seen my duck? His name's Doodles.
Toro Capa.
You tore his head?
Sí.
There's so many silly gags, like a phone labeled the hotline, literally shooting fire out whenever someone answers it, and that is just some Muppet level shit. People who look and smell like me will love it. You see, Twin Peaks' first season was such a hit that ABC ordered 7 episodes of a brand spanking new Frost Lynch series that the pair basically thought up on a whim. But with money-hungry executives breathing down their throats, On the Air was rushed into production in the summer of 1991. The 90s. Unfortunately though, this was just a few months before Twin Peaks' cancellation. And said cancellation made ABC push On the Air's time slot to Saturday nights in the summer of 1992.
Kurt Cobain, the leader of world rock's most gifted and promising band, Nirvana, is dead.
The 90s. But seriously, the summer, when literally 0 people are watching TV because at the time I assume they're too busy blinding each other with lawn darts or whipping Beanie Babies at their siblings or just generally drinking Mountain Dew like it's fucking water. Anyway, On the Air was thus pronounced dead on arrival. But what if ABC gave it the primetime slot? Would it have become another cultural touchstone for annoying film school kids to love or hate depending on what's trendy? Was On the Air, as David Foster Wallace put it, bottomlessly horrid? I'm pretty sure I found the bottom, David. It's like 7 episodes deep. Whatever, who cares? You're dead. Well, the quick answer is no. The world was just simply not ready for On the Air in 1992. But I would suggest that its borderline anti-humor would fit in perfectly with the cold, nihilist future the Zoomer generation is paving us towards. Fun! Now, 30 Rock is a great example of how to make something like On the Air work. It's silly, it's a critique on the entertainment industry, and it knows how to continuously up the absurdity level season after season. The similarities are honestly pretty in your face, but the differences are that 30 Rock was made by a team of die-hard comedy writers who literally worked their buttholes off. I mean, Tina Fey is physically just a Barbie doll back there, while On the Air was basically just run by a king of the crazies. Who knows? Maybe if 30 Rock was made over a decade sooner, it might have suffered the same fate. I'm a baby, so I can't say for sure, but I think the regular folks in early 90s just did not give a shit about how TV is made. You see, in 1992, the most outrageous thing on television was like Murder, She Wrote, so I can see why the audiences of the time would find On the Air to be just so goddamn annoying.
Makeup!
I want you to kiss me. I'm yours, darling.
Dog food.
But today, there's essentially entire networks, with an S, dedicated to absurdist television.
Sweets for the sweet. Chiclet.
Hello!
Oh my god.
I'm the bench.
And On the Air is somewhere between Pee-wee's Playhouse and Tim and Eric's Awesome Show. I think Lynch and his crew had some wild, silly ideas, and they did the things that, you do when you're cracking jokes with the bestie and one of you goes,
we should definitely have our own sitcom.
And then you and Tabitha go about your lives. But David took that idea and he pitched it to ABC, and they said yes.
Business like show business.
Who knows? Audiences really hated the show when it aired, and with that summer time slot, as Miguel Ferrer put it very succinctly, ABC put a bullet in our heads.
There's a legend about a tribe of Indians in the Andes whose threshold of pain is so high that one of their favorite pastimes was throwing rocks at each other's heads. I understand that feeling at this moment.
On the Air is a confusing show, but it's got some real tasty nuggets of absurdism. And if you even have like a passing interest in watching David Lynch's full body of work, I would strongly recommend finding a way to watch it. It's by no means the worst thing he's ever made. That award easily goes to Crazy Clown Time.
It was crazy clown time.
So, David, I'd like to talk to you directly if you could just stop meditating for a second. Let this be considered my official plea for you to embrace On the Air. And if anyone watching this has David Lynch's address, just sound off in the comments. I'm gonna put this video on a VHS tape and mail it to him.